Hey everybody, this is Brad Bruce and I am here with
Jase Marsiglia.
and you're listening to the 5195 podcast.
Yes, hello.
Do we play it like a funeral dirge for this one?
It's too late.
Is it?
If we did a show about fucking Pearl Harbor, are we gonna just, are we gonna play the funeral dirge? No, the window is long since passed.
In my world, what we're about to talk about is way more impactful than that silly little Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, 5195podcast at gmail.com.
There's the first one of the trip. Yeah, it's crazy that when we brought this up, you made a good point that we should have talked about this a long time ago.
It seems like such an organically natural thing that and the thing is, it's because we talk about it in just our daily conversations a lot that I'm like, how did this just never come up?
Yeah,
for a show.
exactly.
And that would be the untimely, though now rather antiquated demise of the local video store. There has been a lot of debate recently even over physical media and the death, quote unquote, of physical media.
Right.
We're sitting in a room loaded with it, for one. But I have a hard time buying that physical media is dying. Even though mainstream media and news tend to tell you otherwise, that everything's in the cloud, everything's streaming. And the fact of the matter is, no, it's not. I personally read an article recently, and I didn't jump on to find out, but so take this with a grain of salt. Someone wrote an article basically saying that there's nothing on Netflix that predates the 70s currently.
Okay.
Meaning anything pre-70s, which would be classic movies, with the exception, I have been on Netflix and seen something like Psycho or The Birds, but just random classics, like TCM type classics, nothing. Which means it's not being curated and it's not being made available. And one of the biggest things that you and I we did talk about on an episode, was the fact that we did like a streaming versus physical media episode a while back. And one of the things about streaming that we talked about was the fact that licenses expire. It's up to someone else when they do to pick it up or not. And I think a lot of movies are getting ignored. And when we live in a time where there's even movies that you and I love that haven't even made the leap from VHS yet.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought, that if everything is streaming now and you have kind of I really don't know how to say this. It's almost like it's a wild card whether or not you're going to find that random movie that you were thinking of, because it may not be out there. I don't like that. I don't like the thought that you can't just pull up Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Yeah.
Or something random, Hercules Unchained, like a B movie from Italy or something.
Yeah.
There's no reason, if we were supposed to let physical media die a death and everything's digital now and streaming, you should be able to just find whatever you want somewhere.
Of course.
And that's the reality. As much as they want to tout that streaming is the future, streaming is where everything's at, no, it's not. And what other people consider worth your time or worth in restoration is very subjective. And there's going to be people out there that you're not going to see. Certain movies are just going to fall into obscurity forever. And we at least had the video store to go to rent it, because it was a physical copy. It was something you could take home or you could buy. One of the arguments I've made lately is, because you and I are collectors, obviously. I joke that my office is a video store for horror films, because it's just wall-to-wall horror.
Right.
But I don't even know if we're collectors anymore. I almost feel like in this day and age, this time,
No, please say it.
We're curators.
There it is. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yep. And it's more important now than it is ever to curate.
It's perseverance.
It is. And it's like, thank God for boutique agencies like Vinegar Syndrome and, Severin and Synapse and these guys who go out and look for the obscure and give it a polish and a makeover. You're keeping it alive, because I can't tell you how many Blu-rays in my collection say for the first time on digital media, because it didn't make it past VHS. Some of them, it didn't even make it to VHS.
Yeah.
I've got some movies that are on Blu-ray that are like, it completely bypassed a United States release.
Wow.
And that's sad, and granted, I'm not talking about big movies. Like, you will never not have something like Jaws or The Godfather or It's a Wonderful Life disappear on you.
Right.
Wizard of Oz is always going to be there, but someone's choosing what movies are worth a remaster. People are choosing what movies to put a package together for. And a lot of us, Brad and I especially, we have very peculiar tastes.
Absolutely.
We do like a lot of random weird shit. And if it wasn't for us getting them from places like Vinegar or Severin, I'm not sure we would at all.
Yeah, no, it would be tough.
So we are creating essentially our own video store, not just as a nostalgic way to bring back a day where we were able to peruse a shelf of actual physical media to watch, but you're doing it because all of this could be gone.
Yeah.
And I hate that. And the real dawn of that line of thinking was watching your local video stores fold up shop and the signs come down. And it didn't occur to me until they really started happening how much that sucks. Once you see it, you took it for granted.
You really did.
You'd go get a dinner or something and then walk around and peruse shelves, and that was your dinner and a movie, man. You went home with a pizza and a stack of tapes, and an entire part of our culture is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a sad thing to think
is.
about. So we figured we'd just kind of go down memory lane, and I'm sure you guys have your own as well, which hit us up, 5195podcast at Gmail. We're on Instagram. We're on all the things. You can comment anywhere, but we'd love to hear from you too. We had our haunts.
Yeah.
And I've got a few that I'm going to throw at you too, but some were better. Some were better than others.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you have a lot in your area?
I did.
Yeah.
There probably wasn't a highway exit that didn't have a Blockbuster.
Okay.
That was Blockbuster was the McDonald's of video stores. And I don't want to say I have no love for Blockbuster, because I did go there, but it wasn't a go-to.
Well, no, because Blockbuster was basically the new kid in town shutting out the old stuff.
Yes. And they had a weird code that they adhered to where it kind of was just Blockbuster movies. It was the stuff you could get anywhere.
Yeah.
But nothing obscure.
They weren't curating obscure.
No, there was nothing obscure about Blockbuster. If you wanted to rent Die Hard and Lethal Weapon and Jurassic Park.
All day long.
Walls of it. You know what I mean?
And it was one of those things where by the time Blockbuster was at the forefront for me, it's just because they basically ran everyone else out of town.
They did. And that's the sad thing. The mom and pops were the ones who had everything.
Those were the staples.
They were. And those were the ones that I'm celebrating today.
Same.
Personally.
Yeah. Because again, I do have fond memories of Blockbuster just because, like I said, it was the only thing that was there. So it was like, you know what? I'd rather go here than not go anywhere at all.
Not just that, but if I wanted the latest mainstream horror movies and stuff, they'd sell their copies pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So it was nothing for me to get the latest Warner Brothers, Universal, Paramount horror film at a Blockbuster, Whereas if I wanted to see something crazier, I'd rent it from this other place and then have to go. I'd really have to hunt if I wanted my own copy.
Right. So did your video store have the cardboard box full of old posters that you could pick through for like $1?
Yes. Yep.
Isn't it the best?
I loved it. My daughter has it now. I passed it on to her. One of my favorite video stores, and it was where I grew up, it was kind of a haul to get there. And I think I've mentioned it on the show before, but Video Zone.
Mm-hmm.
It was a place in Dearborn Heights that had been there. It had opened in 1984. And I was kind of buds with the guy who owned the joint. I tracked him down a few years ago.
Wow.
He was showing me, I went to his house.
Oh, no shit.
He owns a couple of tanning places now. You know, that's his new gig.
Okay.
And he does really good for himself, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
But when I went into his garage, he was like, I got some old stuff if you want, and he gave me a 27x40 marquee poster holder.
Oh, no kidding.
With the lights all around it that you would have in the store. I have it in storage because I just have nowhere to put it right now. But it's the one where that you pull the sides out, put a poster in, snap it in there, then you plug it into the wall and it's backlit.
That's amazing.
It's so fucking cool. And he just gave it to me. He was just like, here, take it, dude. Because I know you'll take care of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was like clearing out his garage. And then he goes, oh, here, check this out. And he brings me this photo album. And it shows it's a newspaper article of new video store opens in Dearborn Heights. And it's literally him standing by the counter. And next to it is a standee of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And it was the new release, the get your Indiana Jones here at Video Zone. And
yeah.
I didn't start going there. My uncles took me there. My uncle Mike and my uncle Chris used to go there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you an idea of some of the obscure shit they had. When I went there with my uncle Chris, there was a whole wall of hockey fights.
Oh, shit.
America's bloodiest hockey fights and shit. And he would rent those. And we'd just sit at home watching these VHS tapes of just people pounding the shit out of each other, all these. And it was like, how funny that there's a wall for hockey fights. You know what I mean? But they had it. This place had a big Mortal Kombat 3 arcade console in the corner that never worked. When I visited this guy, it was in his garage. And I'm just like, oh my fucking God. I'm like, if I had a truck, I would take it from you. And he goes, oh, that's okay. He goes, I promised my kid he could take that. And I'm like, awesome. At least it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, please don't throw this thing out, And he goes, nah, I promised my kid he could take it. But it was always there.
Yeah.
But literally, Blockbuster was one thing. I didn't really go there a whole lot. But Video Zone and closer to me, Mammoth Video, which was owned by like a couple that worked there, had everything. And when I say everything, I do even mean the back room. Very large pornographic section.
The curtain.
The curtain. I believe it was beads.
Oh, nice.
At Video Zone.
Of course it would be beads.
It was beads. It's
Big
hilarious.
Giant beads.
Big giant beads.
They stunk.
It was just so 70s.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mammoth had one, it was just this big door, no one under 18.
Yeah.
But that was, sadly, porn and new releases were the things that were keeping Mammoth open by me.
Really?
Yep. Which I found funny because I'm like, you could go online anywhere and get free porn. But they were like, people still rent porn like a motherfucker.
That's crazy.
I just found that funny because I'm like, with the internet, no one even knows what you're renting. Meanwhile, you go in there, and I used to stock. I used to work there.
Okay.
So I'd go in there and I'd be restocking the porn and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all out there for you to see. So whatever you were into secretly,
yeah,
someone would see you take it off the wall.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, with the internet, all of that stigma is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But this is keeping you guys going. And they're like, we're as surprised as you. They're like, porn is still a massive, massive moneymaker. So their back room and the new release walls were keeping the lights on.
Wow.
Video Zone, on the other hand, died many, many years before, sadly. It was a much smaller place.
I think those are the biggest losses.
They are. And the thing is, Video Zone, going back there with my uncles and shit, when I was a kid, that was the place where I learned about things like Faces of Death.
Okay.
They had Cannibal Holocaust. A lot of video nasties.
Yeah.
For those who don't know that, we'll get into that in another episode. But video nasties were notorious movies in the 80s that were deemed so violent that in Britain they banned them outright. But when I look back, I'm like, oh, that was a video nasty. That was a video nasty.
Yeah.
There's a story I've told many times, and we've talked about it before, the search for Cellar Dweller. It ended at Video Zone.
Okay. Okay.
You know, that was the place I went to. They didn't have it.
Yeah.
It was the one place I knew had it when I was a kid because I rented it from them constantly.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was going to show it to my buddy Brian, and it was like, we got to go out there. We got to make this pilgrimage to Video Zone. And the writing was on the wall when I walked in and saw not just DVDs instead of VHS tapes, because this place was lined up like a library. The tapes were overflowing. When I walked in, there was like so much space between the DVDs, and I'm like, oh God, it's all gone. It's all gone. It's all new. That was the first time it really hit me. I'm like, these places are going. They're going. What a bummer. Because I'm telling you, when I walked into, my most vivid memory was going in for the first time with my Uncle Mike, and we rented Gremlins 2, the new batch, and Leviathan. And then we ordered a pizza. And I remember walking around there, and the new poster that was on the door as we were walking out was Coming Soon, Subspecies by Full Moon Pictures.
Oh, wow.
And that picture where all the little guys are carrying the woman. I just remember everywhere I looked was something interesting. It was like, you got Full Moon posters over here. Again, Video Zone was the one where before they died off, they were selling posters off. And the one that I mentioned I gave to my daughter, the guy took it off the wall. He said, when we're done, I'll take it off the wall and I'll call you. But I have a Jennifer's Body.
Oh, okay.
That's around the time they closed. So Jennifer's Body was like, what, 08, 09. So I got this smoking hot Megan Fox as Jennifer, and across her belly, I think it says like unrated.
Yeah.
You know, so it's more of like a DVD promo poster, but it came directly from the store, and it's framed and in my daughter's bedroom.
Is it really
She's
framed?
a
Yeah.
huge fan. So yeah, it's just, it was just the place to hang, man. And I discovered so fucking much at that place. And it's just, with the exception of maybe something like Tubi. Tubi, I think, is the one that's got probably the most obscure shit when I surf through. It's the only place I've gone where I feel like I discover something.
I can see that.
But it's still not the same as walking down an aisle and looking at covers and going, the fuck is this? The microwave massacre? You know what I mean? Like,
it was such a magical time.
It was. I still remember one of the and it's not a great movie. It's pretty stupid. Color Me Blood Red, Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Fuck yeah.
Do you remember the updated tape, like the big box tapes they had for it?
Yes.
It wasn't the artwork anymore. It was
right.
Like they grabbed a model and she was like, I think she had her arms tied to a wall and a guy with a plate and her guts are spilling out on the plate.
Right.
And it's not even in the movie, I don't think. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it was like, the artwork was so lurid and gross. And it was like, I have got to rent this. I got to rent it. Usually you were bamboozled. Because
the artwork was always better than the film.
Yes. And that's the thing. It was like the VHS tapes. So fucking cool. And I love that certain companies, not all of them, but certain ones will either keep the poster art, or if they update the poster art on a slipcover, you could take the insert out and flip it, and it'll be either the old VHS or the old theatrical one sheet.
Yeah.
Because they know it too. They walked around the same stores and was like, why would I not use the one that caught my eye 30 years ago, 40 years ago? It's just so cool. And I desperately miss the video store.
So do I. I really do. There's a couple that have actually came back Not around here, but
No.
obviously up in Burbank has one.
Sure.
It's cool, but it just doesn't have the same feel because it's still the majority of it is DVDs.
Yeah.
And it's kind of more of like here's a collage of what it used to be like.
Mm.
You know, so it's like a cool walk down memory lane,
Yeah.
but it's very condensed
Yeah.
into this one little space. I mean, the first time I ever walked into a video store was 85,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the end of 84 into 85. And that's almost like heyday.
Oh yeah, that was the Wild West of
Yeah.
VHS.
And I remember going into this store called Video Barn. Yeah.
It's the perfect name too.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
It's just Video Barn.
And there was just this old guy behind the counter. And they had these like black cases behind the movie.
Yes.
So if the case was there, the movie was in.
Were they the snappers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like going directly to the horror section. Because it was like, holy shit, this is crazy. You know, like we're going to watch movies with cussing on TV at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the first time.
Not edited for television.
No.
Not edited for time allotted.
No.
We were going to watch the real deal.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And man, I was in love. Because again, like I said on one of our very first episodes, it was like when we went there, we had to rent the VCR because we didn't have one, you know?
Yeah.
So they're like showing us how to hook it up to our TV to make sure we had the right connections, you know, like, do you have coax? Do you have the little prongs that you gotta screw into it?
Fuck, I hated those things. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So, you know, it was cool, man. Like, I feel kind of almost bad for my kids. I feel like they got gypped out of a magical era.
I do too.
You know, because now it's just like Netflix, Hulu,
Bonk, bonk,
Paramount.
bonk, bonk.
Here
Yeah.
it is, you know?
Maddie did get some experience with it. Mammoth was one of the last ones to close.
Okay.
And it unfortunately closed on her birthday.
Aight.
So we went to Mammoth and they were like, we set aside a bunch of horror movies for you. They're yours, 25 cents a piece. And I cleaned some house.
Yeah.
And in my office, they gave me the plastic standee that said horror.
Cool.
And was like, it's yours. You know, because we were tight with those guys.
Yeah.
And Maddie, like every now and again when we'd come in, Maddie would be like, I want to work here.
Yeah.
And they would be like, well, here's a stack of movies. I'll help you. We'll put them back. And Maddie looked at it like a job. So they'd walk around the store and she would match the movie to the cover and put it behind it.
Yeah.
So she has very fond memories.
Wow.
She deeply saddened and offended that they closed on her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's like, you couldn't wait till the next day.
Yeah.
You know, but she did get the video store experience and she remembers it very fondly.
That's cool.
But that was like when she was little. Jake has none of that. So I get a slight charge when he comes into the office and he's looking at my shelves and going, just looking for something to watch. And I'm like, yeah, go ahead, buddy. Peruse those shelves.
Yeah.
You know, if I had the space, I would love to have the type of shelving where all of my movies could be
Cover out.
How cool would that be?
Yeah.
You know, a few center stands where you can walk around front and back.
Yeah.
You know, it would be really cool. But I've just got too many, so they're lined up.
Mm-hmm. It's
Which
a
is
lot.
fine
Well,
with
what
me.
we have is a lot.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, we definitely do have the equivalent of a video store.
we do. And you and I combined would be like 2 video stores.
Oh, it would be massive.
It would be insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
And mine, just looking at your shelves here behind me and the 1, 2, 3, 5 very tall shelves that are completely full. I have more horror movies than you have just movies total in this room because that's what I decided long ago. I'm only going to spend money on.
Yeah.
That was just a conscious decision.
For sure.
I do have tons of other movies
yeah.
from back in my like collecting days where I was like, I'm collecting everything. And I still collect the occasion. You know, I think I collect the comic book movies.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally if a favorite comes out with a new release, like I think I just picked up, I've been picking up, I've got 2 of the 3 Man with No Name. You know, I got
Gotcha.
like 4Ks of fistful of dollars and a few dollars more. I just need to get the good, the bad, and the ugly now. But it's movies that I'm like, it was weird how liberal I was with the spending, because I was like buying everything. Just because it could be good, and some of them were blind buys.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way, dude.
At one point I stopped and was like, okay,
Yeah.
it's either going to be a favorite or it's a horror movie. I've probably got, I think the last time I checked my spreadsheet, I've got well over 3,000 just horror movies.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it was like, that's what I wanted. I wanted the horror video store.
Yeah.
I wanted to be surrounded by my physical media. And there's a subset of people out there that don't get what we're talking about. And they're like, why would you? But there's a big subset of people out there that are like,
why would you not?
Me too. Yeah, like, oh, me too, man. I want to be buried with this shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I love being able to walk into my office and go, that one. I'll grab that off the shelf and just go watch it, because who the fuck knows if it's streaming anywhere?
Yeah, I know.
And probably not.
You know what's crazy too is like, I know I'm never going to stop buying movies.
Yeah, me neither.
Because it's like, for what's in here, which I believe it's like what you said, 5 behind me.
5 behind.
And then there's 2 behind you. So 7.
7, top to bottom though. Really no spaces.
But then also, there's probably another 2,500, maybe 3,000 in the garage.
Yeah.
And then I also have...
What is out here? Is there a purpose to it?
To my stuff?
Yeah, like what made it in here that didn't come out of the garage? Did you make a conscious decision like, these are the ones I want around me?
Yeah. So basically what's around me are the things that I will actually watch or enjoy or have a special connection to.
Yeah.
Lots of cult, lots of obscure, very weird, rare stuff.
You do have, I'm looking all the way to the left, and that shelf is almost exclusively television shows. You got a lot of television shows. To the right, all the way on the other side of your shoulder, this is your Anchor Bay, which is a massively impressive collection of, I think we talked about it. You have the original complete Anchor Bay catalog with very few exceptions.
Very few exceptions. Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking around and I'm like, there's not aside from the Anchor Bay and there's kind of the TV one, there wasn't a lot of rhyme or reason to it. So I didn't know if you were like,
yeah. So if you really start looking at them, you'll start seeing titles that are like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And that's what I like. 'Cause I do tend to lean towards the more bizarre, obscure, eccentric stuff.
Same.
That I get a kick out of.
Because it's the stuff we hunted for in the store.
Yeah.
It was like, you could tell just looking at the cover, this is way off the beaten path.
Oh, it definitely is.
And I want to see it.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah,
there's some pretty interesting stuff on these shelves for sure. But that's what it is. 'Cause in the garage, there's other Anchor Bay in the garage.
Sure.
There's other stuff like that. There's lots of mainstream comedy stuff, in the garage. Action, things like that.
Do you think with the new pad, you're going to put them all on a shelf somewhere at some point or no?
No, because I just don't think there's enough room.
I guess what I'm getting at in a roundabout way is, did you have like, say 2 totes and you were like garage, shelf, or did you just open a bunch of totes, fill the shelves and go, I guess the rest we'll just put it in the garage?
What I did was I brought, well, I didn't. I paid my son to do it, but I paid him to bring him up here, and he brought up probably 30, 40 totes, and I just went through each of them and was like, okay, this is all going to be up here. These are going back into the garage.
Got it.
And I went through the whole cycle, and there still is a couple down there that need to come up here.
So you did go, like, in the garage, everything in there is stuff that you filtered through.
Yes.
And was like, not so much.
Yeah. Because it's like, not knocking it, but there's like, there's like Brittany Murphy comedy movies.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like the typical mainstream stuff.
Sure.
Because again, like you, even though I didn't wise up and stop, I continued to buy everything. fucking thing.
I had to make the decision. I'm like, you're either going to collect everything and lose space and money, or you're going to pick a niche and stick with it.
See, I wish I had that sort of, willpower or brain power, whatever it is. Because I didn't. Like, and now I'll be honest with you, now I'm sort of plugged into a trip of, well, I'm going to see how many I can buy
Before you keel over.
And I've literally, in the past...
I would love to go through here and make a spreadsheet for you. But
oh, dude, it's fucking insane. Yeah, that would be insane.
I would do it.
Yeah,
I would totally do that for you.
Fucking insane.
In fact, even if I go home, I'll ask you.
Yeah.
Take a picture of one shelf.
Oh, for sure. Totally down.
I'll list it tomorrow. Take a picture of the shelf beneath, and I'll get something going for you.
Yeah,
I'll alphabetize it.
Fucking down.
I'll do it, and I'll just be like, I'll be going through it like, he has this fucking movie.
Oh, dude, you're gonna say that a lot.
I'm sure, and it's like I'm probably gonna highlight ones where I'm like, next time I'm out there, we're fucking watching this.
Well, yeah, dude. Hey, and that's the thing is like, once we wrap up this show, I'll take you to the garage and I'll show you the other stuff that's in there.
Cool.
Because here's the deal. Now I'm getting into this whole trip of, and that's why when you were talking about this idea, because you read it off the board, like, hey, let's do that one. Which I was like, fuck yeah, because, I love the video store. I really think that there is a strong possibility within the next year or two of opening a video store here.
How fucking cool would that be?
I'm really thinking about it.
Yeah.
So now what I'm doing is I'm curating, and what I'm doing is I'm buying collections online. Because here's the crazy thing, dude. This is the blessing in disguise for people like you and I.
Okay.
Streaming. If I watch stuff on streaming, it's stuff that I can't get physical media.
There's a convenience to it.
There is a convenience to it.
I will say sometimes where I'm like, my kid wants to watch something and I'm like, I'm not going to trounce around downstairs and wake anybody up looking for this movie. It's on HBO Max. Just hit play.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But that's because I know I could watch it anytime I wanted.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we're not beholden to whether it's available.
And so where I think it's like a blessing for, us is because now that people are streaming, they literally could give a shit less about these things.
I know.
So I just recently bought a collection.
That's true.
I bought just shy of 800 movies.
Fuck.
For $100.
Oh my God.
I'm not kidding you.
I just had a stroke. I can't talk.
And here's the thing. They're everywhere around here. Like everywhere.
Yeah, I definitely don't have that out by me.
It's fucking crazy. So I'm like, you know what? Now I'm stocking inventory.
You should.
Because I'm like, I think I'm going to rent these movies out.
That would be
because if you do the math on what I paid per movie, 800, and I paid $100 for them.
Yeah.
I could rent it if they're just like, oh, I broke it. I don't give a fuck. But it is something that I want to be able to bring back. I want to bring back the video store. Like
I think you're in a good place to do it too.
Yeah.
Like, not just that, but there are people out there like us who miss the video store, who would come in for the nostalgia. So I can't see. I think there's naysayers listening right now that would be like, "Why would you do that? That would just tank." And I really don't think so.
It wouldn't,
because look at how many people we're selling vinyl records in the store again.
And
you know what I mean?
They're not just sitting there.
No, they're moving.
They're moving.
They're moving a lot.
Yeah.
Like you go into a Walmart or Target and there's a vinyl section again.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? Because it's like vinyl died, quote unquote, when I was a kid. I was a CD kid. 1985, 86. I remember my dad coming home with a CD player, hooking it to the stereo. And one of the first albums that I was cognizant that he bought was Phil Collins' No Jacket Required. And me just looking at it like, this doesn't look like a record. You know what I mean? Like I was used to records and I'm looking at this CD like it's this alien thing. And I'm like, this is cool looking. And I'd open it up and I'm like, It just looks like a silver record. This is cool. And it was like new, but records were dying. VHS was dead in 2006. And look how many people, you go on TikTok and Instagram and people are like, my VHS collection just got bigger with this, the other. People love old shit, especially cinematic music. You know, I mean, I'm sure that there's even a subset of people who collect old books.
Yeah.
Because even books, everything's in the fucking cloud or,
Tina.
you know. Yeah.
She's got a massive book collection.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I prefer a physical book.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, it's one thing to pull something up on my phone and read while I'm laying in bed or whatever in the dark.
Nothing like being like just a tangible collector, though.
Yes. And I don't do it so much with books or whatever, but I gotta have the movie and I gotta have the bells and whistles that come with it.
For sure.
And the cover. And yeah, I'm a slip cover dork. I do think they're cool. Because someone commissioned new artwork, and you know, it's like these are rad. They're celebrating what I celebrate.
Yeah,
and you know, without it, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine one day just popping in a disc and it not working, which scared me, especially this past December 31st when the Friday the 13th game went offline.
The Switch game.
Yep.
Well, for me, it was Switch.
Switch. Yeah, I had the Xbox 360.
Okay.
Or Xbox One, I think. And the fact that I bought the disc and you pop in the disc and it goes, that server is no longer available. I have a paperweight. And I'm scared that one day movies are going to do the same. I fear for that. I hope logistically I'm just stupid and I'm not a good tech guy. So I hope someone out there's like, no, you bought the movie. It's burned to the disc. You're good.
Yeah. I mean, I think with movies, yeah.
Well, especially that Friday the 13th game was a co-op game.
Right.
Where you patched into a network and you played with other people. Yeah. It wasn't like Tomb Raider where there was levels. So I get it. But I still feel like I bought the game.
Yeah.
I should be able to just pop it in and play it whenever I want.
Whenever you want to.
And I feel like that's a slippery slope.
It is.
You know, for physical media people.
You're right, though. It's scary.
It is. And the thing is, I know there's so many people that are like, this is what you guys are worried about in this day and age.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
It's our escape.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is our fucking sanity.
It is. I mean, God. And we've mentioned this on the show so many times before. It's our film school, too.
Yeah.
This is how we get the creative mojo working. It's how we learn how to do this or that. And you know, I don't look at my collection as just a hobby. It's a livelihood, it's education, and it's calming. It's weird. I'm sure there's people out there that 100% get it.
And for me, it did all start in a video store.
Yep. Just the idea that you had so much at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Literally.
So
your fingertips.
I had 3.
Yeah.
The very first one was Video Barn.
I love it.
And it was cool. It wasn't decorated the way the latter ones that I discovered.
Okay.
It wasn't decorated like an actual video store.
No.
It was very boring.
Yeah.
You know, but it was still like I was able to get all the movies that I wanted out of there. And then they retired. Another one moved into that same building.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
And this one was called Major Video.
All right.
And they were a little more upbeat. You know, they had a little more flavor.
Okay. You got some neon signs?
We did.
Shit? Yeah.
You know, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. You know, the horror section exploded. And this was the first time I had ever seen a cult section.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mammoth had that.
Okay. Yeah. And that's when I really discovered, like, oh, man, I like cult films.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was cool going there because by then we had purchased a VCR.
Yeah.
It was literally, it started like, you know, obviously Friday, Saturday, you know, renting movies and stuff. And then it was like Monday night, Wednesday night, you know, it was like we were going all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it was fucking awesome. And then all of a sudden we went there one day and it was just gone.
That's what Video Zone did.
Yeah, it was, and that was
You know.
around 88.
That's in the heyday, though.
Right.
That's weird.
Well, come to find out, I guess the owner was like not, really doing what he was supposed to be doing, with the with the place, and I guess he kind of ran it into the ground.
Gotcha.
And by that time, we had actually moved to another town, so it was like, whatever,
Yeah.
find another one, and we did. We found one that like I absolutely fell in love with, and out of Video Barn, Major Video, and this one, I feel like the name was fucking amazing.
Okay.
They had a logo, they had a fucking character,
Oh, nice.
and it was Couch Club Video.
Oh, okay.
And it was a fucking potato
I was going to ask if it's a couch potato.
sitting on a couch, a stack of movies around him,
Mm-hmm.
and like snacks.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
And that was their logo. And they also had a figure of him.
No kidding.
And it's so ingrained in my head that like I want
they
to...
went the 9.
Oh, no, they did. I want to re-sculpt this thing just so I could have it.
Can you find images?
Probably not, but I'm going to be honest with you. I've stared at it for so long.
Jeez.
I know what this thing looks like. I could draw it
Yeah.
and sculpt it. Because, I mean, I ended up working at the video store.
Okay.
So I got to see it every fucking day.
Well, yeah, he was your boss now.
He was my boss. And this place,
You work for the potato.
yeah, this place was fucking awesome because it was literally like a fucking 5-minute bike ride.
Oh, God. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And I would go there, and it was kind of the same setup you had, where it was like pizza, videos, home. You had your whole
Oh,
deal.
shit.
With this one, it was, because don't forget, we're in California, so it was literally Couch Club Video, Freddy's Tacos, home.
No kidding.
That's what it was always. I went there so much that the lady that worked there, Marilyn, started having me do things. Like
You're going to be here, be of some use.
yeah, put these away. And she really was intrigued by us because I had found out later that she was an author
Oh, wow. Okay.
and she had many books published, and she was just doing this for fun. But she was completely enamored with Native Americans.
No shit.
And when she found out that I was Native American, she was just like, whoa, I have questions.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, I do my best, and we just like hit it off, and she knew I loved horror and
Scalping people.
yeah. And so she that's
Running the casino.
that's true.
Whatever.
Very good. She took me to see Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, wow.
Because it was like my birthday, and she was like, asked my parents, hey, can I? And she was an older woman, I was like, it was some fucking Harold and Maude shit. But
Yeah.
it was like she was such a genuine, sweet person,
That's cool.
And like on my birthday, like I said, she took me to,
Hey, kid, you want to see this titty flick? It's fucking.
and then she flicked it.
He's fucking. It's got George Clooney, and there's a bunch of vampire titties.
She was such a sweet woman, like I remember her picking me up, and then she's like, there's like a gift bag,
Yeah.
and it was a bunch of horror movies,
Oh,
a bunch of Fangorias.
dude,
Like,
she had your number, man.
She did. And here's the thing. She had all boys
Okay.
that were older than me. So she got it.
She got it.
These are the ones that where they were from. I can't remember, like somewhere in the Midwest.
Yeah.
These are the guys that had the Chiller video game console in that pizza place
Really?
that I talked about on the horror video
Oh,
game
yeah,
show.
yeah.
This is that family.
Wow.
Yeah, so these guys were like completely in tune with horror. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they did all the back in the day when it was weekend. What was it? It was Fangoria's Weekend of Horror.
Yes. Yes.
That they did all that shit. So yeah, so it was just, it was so amazing to have that growing up.
Of course.
And she's like, watch this, check this out, watch this. You got to watch this movie, and oh my God, it was just so much fun.
You totally had the Cinema Paradiso.
Oh,
with this chick.
Yeah. No, I did.
You know what I mean?
Did. Yeah, I did.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of here. I'm like, you got the old guard showing you this is your education, bud.
I know you don't like it, and I've said it before, but she's the one that gave me the gummo and was like, "You got to see this."
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
She's like, "This is nuts."
it's a fucking crazy. Yeah,
She's like, "You're going to like this because your fucking brain works on a different level." She's like, "You're going to appreciate this movie."
yeah.
And you know what? She was right.
You did.
She was right. And again, it's just one of those things where, man, I wouldn't trade any of that for the world. All those experiences that I had in the video stores.
Boy, was that a launch pad.
It really was, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what that is. Because, granted, Video Zone, I didn't have that kind of relationship with the people that worked there.
Yeah.
I frequented it less and less as I moved further and further away. I happened to find the owner by happenstance on like Facebook back in the day. And was like, hey, weren't you the guy that owned Video Zone? And he was like, yeah. And he goes, I was like, dude, I just wanted to tell you that I fucking love the store. I really did. I miss it, And I shared an article with him that I wrote about it. And he was just like, dude, that's fucking awesome. He goes, that's rad that you remember all this shit. And he was just like,
It's important to us.
It was. And he goes, you should come out to the house. I've got some stuff for you. And that was when he gave me like the marquee frame.
That's so cool, man.
It was just cool, and he was a super cool guy. And, but the Mammoth people, Ben and Liz were their names. And they were ones who they made the store, because Mammoth was a small chain. It wasn't nowhere near Blockbuster, but Mammoth was owned by somebody.
Yeah.
And then at some point it became sort of a franchisee thing where you could own a Mammoth and run it however you want.
Gotcha.
So they got to a point where, as Blockbuster down the road was quote unquote stealing business, they were like, what do you guys want to see more of? And people would come in with used DVDs, and I'd come in to rent something. I'd be like, Jase, come over here for a second. No, they're like, go through these. What do you think would be good on the shelf? And I'd go through and I'd be like, this is super fucking rare. Great movie. I'm like, whatever keep it or put it on the shelf, one of the two, but it needs to stay here, or this one, there's like 20 billion of them. You should put it in the sell rack. And I'd go through their shit and be like, I'd like to think that there's a percentage of that store that I quote unquote stocked.
So cool.
Just because they trust my opinion. And Ben's the one who I believe set up the cult section. And I was like, oh, dude, that's fucking rad, And again, when I'd go through these stacks, I'd be like, this would be great for the cult section over there. And so I had a good working relationship with those guys. I was, less an employee, more of just like a VIP customer.
Yeah.
And then at one point I did work there for a little while, but it was just cool. And they were so open to new things and stocking things that nobody else would. And it was cool. And for a while, I think it might have been MySpace. Could have been MySpace, maybe early Facebook. They set up a social and was like, we kind of want you to take a picture of every movie and write it's a place for you to put your reviews. So they were letting me go through each aisle, and I'd take a picture and then I'd upload it and do a little capsule review. You can get it here at Mammoth Video, horror section. And for a while I was just kind of stocking their socials.
That's so fun.
With their inventory. And it was just fun. It was just a good time and great place to hang out and meet cool people. Yeah. You'd be surprised how many people would come in that you never even knew, and they'd see what you were renting, and suddenly you've got like a 20-minute conversation with a stranger.
Oh yeah.
At the counter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's people who were in, oh, did you ever see this one? Or,
yeah.
And it was just great. It was a great communal place to be.
No, it's a shame, man. I fucking miss it.
Like, it's the one thing that we can't recreate in a office, loft, whatever. We could do it the best we can, but yeah, the video store it's seminal. It's something
really
that really needs to stay in people's brain pan, especially when you go online to watch something and it's not fucking there. Yeah. I forget. I think it was my dad. He's always the one who's telling me, why do you keep buying these? It's all out there. And then he hit me up one day and said, because my dad's a Trekkie.
Okay.
He was like, they just got rid of all the Star Trek movies. And I'm like, a license expired, didn't it? He goes, yeah, I think so. And I'm like, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna watch, because it was like they got rid of all the movies and the original series, and I'm just like, if no one else has picked it up, then it's out in the ether, dude.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to pop it in, don't you think? If you ever get in the mood, like every day he watches MASH. My brothers and I, we have over the course of a few years, he has the entire series on DVD, and I'm like, this is for when they finally just decide, yeah, I think Everyone Loves Raymond would be better at this time slot. And you're like, I've been watching MASH on this channel for like 10 years. Yeah, well, now it's fucking gone. We moved it on out. See ya.
It's so crazy.
That's why it was funny when I hit you up about Perfect Strangers being on Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect Strangers, I haven't seen on television in like 30 years.
Yeah.
But I bought all 8 seasons off of Warner Archive.
Right.
I'm like, if I want to watch Perfect Strangers, I could just pop it in. But seeing it's on Pluto now, yeah, I'll put it on in the background. But if it disappears, and it likely will eventually when they recycle it and or take that channel off or whatever, I've still got it.
Yeah.
So, it's in a section.
We're literally trying to preserve physical media.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what I was thinking about. It would be a great club to start, the Physical Media Society.
That would be dope.
Then I was like, well, that's PMS.
Yeah. And that's just angry.
I was like, we'll think of something else.
You're not going to get much done.
We'll think of something else.
Yeah.
But no, dude, that was fun. I do miss the video store. Hopefully we'll be able to bring one back.
It's bittersweet, but
yeah. We do have a small chapter, or a small sliver of it, in our lives.
We do, and it's of our own doing, but it's our creature comfort, It's
Exactly.
what we need to feel, I don't know, connected
Yeah.
to a better time.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm glad we did this.
Me too.
Until next time.
Be kind, rewind.